And welcome to the shift. It couldn't be. Is that, do I see? Is that Hollywood Earnshaw?
He's back.
You know what? I'm
He's
actually
back.
usually I'm against a lot of the things you do, just
Mhm.
like takes,
Yes.
activities you do, like golf. A lot of these things in general, I'm just against what you do. But I'm excited that you have brought back Hollywood Earnshaw. So let's take a moment and let's just, cherish this the shades. You got the Ozzy shades on today.
Oh yeah.
Ozzy Earnshaw, you can call.
Oh yeah.
Uh
Ozzy Earnshaw, whatever you want to call it.
Ozzy Earnshaw.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I'm happy that Ozzy Earnshaw / Hollywood Earnshaw is back.
Dude, I mean, how can you not be after this first round? The one pick that matters. We got the jersey on. Oh, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. I know you got the colors on too.
I do. I
I
do.
listen. What
Oh yeah.
a listen. It was other than the Phillies. It wasn't a great first couple of rounds, right? I
DS.
mean,
Yeah,
DS.
DS wild card. Yeah, not too exciting.
Not great, right? Like
Could have
I
been better.
mean, my Baltimore Orioles, they get swept. The Texas Rangers, they just poured it on to the Orioles. The Astros, they keep winning. They just keep winning. They
That's
find
what
a
they
way.
do.
They find
That's
a
what they
way. The
do.
Twins couldn't find a way. Correct now. But listen, the Phillies series with against the Braves was awesome. Had to bring the shades out once again because it
Yes,
feels like it's
sir.
good luck. It feels like it's good luck when I do bring them out.
Yeah,
And my
I just
picks,
I get good vibes when you wear them.
my picks are also a little bit better, I think, when I wear them
Oh yeah,
too.
they were
I'm not
just
gonna wear them the whole
disturbing
show
last.
today. Yeah, it
Right,
was. I didn't wear them for the last episode for the DS, and we
right,
see what happened, right? Like it wasn't overall, it wasn't great. So
right.
we're
It
gonna
was the Phils one, but
the
you didn't.
Bills
Your
won.
overall picks
It was
didn't.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Overall, not great. Not great. So we're bringing them back. We're bringing them back. We're going to have better picks this time. We're going to be 100% down. I'm not
mm.
apologizing. I'm not apologizing. I admit I was wrong on a few of these
Okay,
picks. I was
that's
way
fine.
off, but I'm not apologizing. You send the tweets out. I show up. I got the Hollywood. We're ready to
Show
go.
up.
Okay. All right. That's it. We're starting off with that. I'm not apologizing, but I will take responsibility for my atrocity of picks. That's
I'm not
that's all.
gonna look. I'm not
That's
gonna
all I
push
gotta
you
say.
too hard here.
That's
I'm
all I
not
gotta say.
gonna. If I did, I don't want to do that. All right, Nick. Let's start with the game. The only game that happened last night. The only game that was remaining
Mm.
in the divisional series. Phillies and the Braves. The Phillies come out on top. They take out the 104 win Atlanta Braves by a score of 3-1. Nick Castellanos is hitting the baseball out of his mind right now. The first one was a bomb, but the second one was an absolute missile. The bat flip, everything like that. The Phillies were able to get it done against Spencer Strider and the Atlanta Bravos. So they're moving on once again to the championship series. Second year in a row that they have beaten the Atlantic Braves in 4 games at CBP. That place is a madhouse. That place, I'm just going to tell you, it reminds me right now, and I think Colin Cowherd said this a couple of days ago. It reminds me of the old Yankee Stadium right now, just the mystique it has. Just no one, you're scared when you come into that building, when you come into that ballpark right now, Nick. So Phillies get it done against the Braves. And the one question I want to start off with, Nick, is was it more about the Braves? Is this more about the Braves losing once again to the Phillies? Or is it because I don't want to say that the Braves are absolute choke artists. Like they won the World Series a couple of years ago. They got to the NLCS a couple of years ago. Is this more about like the Phillies have the Braves numbers or is it that the Phillies maybe don't get enough credit and they're an actual like contender, especially come playoff time? Which side do you more lean towards?
I probably lean more towards the Phillies being more of a contender and not getting enough credit. I think I lean more towards that way, but I feel like it's a little bit of both, right? I mean, Atlanta just seemingly cannot beat the Phillies in the postseason these past couple of years. Spencer Strider just gives up big home runs and big moments to the Phillies, and it just seems like they just can't get by. It's like you compare it to the Sixers and the Celtics, right? The Sixers can't get by the Celtics in the NBA. It's kind of similar here with another Philadelphia team, but Atlanta can't get past the Phillies. Like it's very similar. But I think the Phillies are just a really good team, right? I mean, you have to give them credit. I know Atlanta, they won over 100 games. They've won a World Series in the past couple of years. They're a really good team. But the Phillies also are a really good team. I mean, they have a really, really good lineup, and their pitching depth is way better than it even was last year. So I think we have to give credit to the Phillies here because they won these games. They weren't given to them. They won these games. They went out there, beat a really good pitcher twice in Spencer Strider, who had an unbelievable year and had pretty good success against them in the regular season. So the fact they went out there, beat him twice, put up 10 runs in game 3, I think it's a sign of a really good team. They almost swept them if they didn't have trouble in game 2, right? So it could have been a 3-0 series anyway. I think you got to give credit to the Phillies. I'm so tired of hearing about the layoff that Atlanta had and these first-round teams. Like, I think that's ridiculous. So give credit to the Phillies. They won this series. They pitched well. They hit well. They managed pretty well, except for really in game 2. But other than that, they were pretty much pitch perfect. And I would give him credit. Castellanos hitting the knock off the ball. Bryce Harper got a little bit of Michael Jordan in him, right? He took that personal from Marcia. Took him a little personal. So, and he goes out and hits 2 bombs. So you got to give credit to this lineup. The Phillies are a contender. They're a really good team. They spent a lot of money to become a contender. So that's why I'm going to lean that way. Atlanta, yeah, they have trouble against the Phillies. And I don't want to blame it on anything else, but the Phillies are a good team. Atlanta just seems to have a little bit of trouble on them. So I could see that side of it as well. But the excuses got to stop for the Dodgers, for the Braves, the layoff.
Especially the Dodgers.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you should be happy because if you actually had pitching and you had more pitching depth, you could set up your rotation however you want, and all your pitchers get rest. So, I mean, it's give and take here, but I think the Phillies are a really good team. That's why I picked them earlier in the year to go to the World Series. And I think you got to just give them credit where credit's due. They won this series. It was not anything other than that.
Yeah. I'm in total agreement. I think it's probably a mix of both. To a certain extent. But I lean more towards the Phillies, because the Phillies definitely have the Braves number. Like that's a fact for sure right now. So, but I'm in agreement with you. Like this team, the Phils, and I've said this earlier in the year, like, especially when they got going, was they're never mentioned like with the Braves and with the Dodgers. And like, I get it. They don't win like 100 games. Maybe they will in the future. Who knows? Depending on how they put their roster together. But they don't do that. I get that. But, the magic that they played last year in the playoffs, like just knowing how to win games, obviously, the big moments when it matters. Having Bryce Harper, having Kyle Schwarber on your team too. Like, and Castellanos have big hits. Like, just they know how to win. I think that's kind of like I don't know if the word I want to use is underrated, but like that aspect is like, people don't like consider that sometimes. And maybe it's different for us as Phillies fans. We're watching, 44, like literally 44 comebacks up close because we're watching this, up close and personal because we're watching them every night. But this team is just, top to bottom, like their bullpen super underrated this year too. Or at least maybe nationally it's viewed differently. But they have a top 10 bullpen in baseball this year. It's something they haven't had in the past. The rotation, I understand the whole Nola thing, but Nola's pitched really well lately. And, when Nola's pitching well, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So you had that to go along with Zach Wheeler, and the rest of the rotation. Ranger pitched well last night. Christopher Sanchez is, he's been good this year. They had the depth too. That's a big deal. And the lot, I don't even know if I've mentioned the lineup here. I mean, I kind of have though. Like the lineup is super stacked top to bottom, even without Rhys Hoskins. Yeah. So I think it's more about the Phillies just aren't getting. I think it's coming around though. I think people are kind of viewing the Phillies in that way a little bit. I think the whole CBP mystique probably is, amping that up a little bit at the same time, but rightfully so. So, but like the Phillies are a great team regardless. I'm not saying it's all about CBP. It's definitely, a bit of a factor, but the Phillies are just a really good team, Nick.
Yeah.
Really good team.
They are. I mean, they spent the money to become this type of team, right? I mean, they give Castellanos the $100 million contract. They give Harper the big contract. They bring in Trey Turner. Like, They went out and wanted to be this type of team, and they are. And it doesn't matter if you win the division or not. If you get into the postseason and you have a lineup like this, anything can happen, man. It's all sports. Like, you just got to get into the tournament, and that the Phillies have gotten into the tournament the past 2 years, and they've made noise and they've played well. And it's a lot of pressure in these postseason moments. We know how it is in the postseason. Everyone's hanging on every single pitch. So, and they've delivered in clutch spots, in big moments. This team has come through. And, you know, this is a team that fired their manager last season, right? And they bring in Rob Thompson, who's never managed in the major leagues ever in his career. He's been a career bench coach in the majors. And look what he's been able to do. So, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. They're a good team. They've put together a well-constructed team. It's a lot of free agents, some homegrown players in there as well. So, listen, they're a good team. They're going to be here for a couple more years for sure, hanging around. They might not win, you know, the 100 games, the 95 to 100 win. They don't have to be. As long as they can get in, especially with how the format is now with the 3 wild cards, they can just get in. And once they're in, they know what to do. So you just got to give them credit where credit's due. I mean, you can't underrate this team anymore. They're here. Their time is right now. This is their window. These couple of years, last year, this year, and the next 2 to 3, this is their window to start winning championships and making noise in the postseason with the roster that they do have, with guys like who are young and also in the midst of their prime. So that's what happens in baseball. These teams come around, and the Phillies.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get back to the Phils in just a second as we preview them and the Arizona Diamondbacks, the National League Championship Series. But let's get to the meat and potatoes. I'm hungry, man. I ain't gonna lie. After this, I'm gonna have some lunch. I did have some Sun Chips right before this, just a little snack. You know, Sun Chips they're good. You know, you don't like Sun Chips?
Nah, not a Sun Chip guy. More of like a barbecue, sour cream. That's kind of my go-to.
They're both great. I would agree with that. Barbecue and sour cream. I would agree with that. Sour cream, I haven't had it in a while.
Yeah, they're good. Do you go Hers or Lay's?
Hers, dude. Hers all day.
Honestly, I'd go Hers for the barbecue, but I'd take the Lay's. I take the Lay's over in the sour cream.
I reverse there. I think the Hers sour cream are massively better than the Lay's.
I think Hers are good. Don't get me wrong.
Right, but you just like Lay's better.
I think I like the Lay's sour cream a little more.
Well, lay off the Hers freaking. You like what I did there? Yeah, bars.
Let's go on.
All right. So off the chip stuff. Let's go ALCS preview here. All Texas affair. I think this is the first time this has ever happened. Pretty sure. So exciting though. Exciting. This is the matchup that I wanted. As it pertains to an all Texas affair between Houston and the Rangers. Nick, I'll just start it off here. I think both teams are, very talented. We know what the Houston Astros have done over the last 8 years or so. It's tight as far as I think both offenses are super stacked. And we definitely saw that in the last couple of rounds with the Rangers. Rotation, I'd probably lean a little more towards Houston. I think, the Texas rotation with Montgomery and Eovaldi been pitching pretty good, and their bullpen's actually been pretty good lately too. Yeah. But mentioning the bullpen, I think that's the X factor for this series, and that's what gives the Houston Astros the edge in this series. I think that couple of rounds there, Texas, they played well and the bullpen, for the most part, did a good job, which they haven't done this year in the regular season. But I think that's where this comes back to bite them. I think that the Astros bullpen is just a little better. I know there was a game there against Minnesota that Hector Nearest gave up like 3 or 4 runs. I think it might have been a loss. Could be wrong. But I like the Astros bullpen a little more. You got Stanek, you got Ryan Presley there as a closer, you got Nearest, you got Kendall Graveman, who's been good since he came back over to Houston. Abreu, I like Houston's bullpen more, and I think that's the X factor because I think the rotations are a little close. Houston and the offenses, they can just even themselves out, whatever. Right. They're both stacked. Yordan Alvarez is hitting like a maniac right now.
He turns into like insane. A Hall of Famer into the postseason, man. Like he's on another level, Hall of Fame type level in the postseason.
Yes. So Yeah, it's insane right now. Him and Bryce Harper are just insane right now. But at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be a good series. I am giving the Rangers a few games. I think it'll be a good series. Nothing insane. But it'll be entertaining. It'll be good. But I'm gonna pick the Astros in 6 to get back to the World Series.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do. I mean, this is a really good series, and we know what happened at the end of the season. Astros kind of snuck in there, stole the division from the Rangers. And I'm with you. The X factor is the bullpen, and we know how good the Astros bullpen can be. I mean, it in the regular season, 3.56 ERA, seventh best in baseball, seventh best ERA in baseball for that Astros bullpen. I mean, they had the pitching last season, they have it still this year. I think this is going to be a really close series. I do think it goes 7. I do. I think both teams offensively have been out of their minds so far. Yordan Alvarez has really come on, like we just mentioned. But Texas is 5-0 in the postseason, right? They're 5-0. They've come in scorching hot. They haven't lost a game yet. The Astros are a different animal, man. And this is your division rival who's been there, done that before, right? They have guys like Verlander, like Alvarez, like Bregman, like all these guys who have been there and done that. I think it's hard to pick against the Astros. I think it's hard. It's hard. And listen, I could see Texas finding a way because they've been so hot and they've played really well.
I didn't think they had this many wins this year, bro.
And listen, no,
I didn't think they would.
I didn't think they did either. I mean, listen, Seager's been good. Listen, they have Montgomery, I believe, probably in go 1, right? He'll probably go game 1.
Right.
I think this goes 7. I think it goes 7. I think the Astros win, man. I can't pick against them in this one. I picked against them before. I'm not going to do it this time. Hopefully I'm wrong. This time I actually want to be wrong. But the Astros are too talented, and we both are on the same page with the bullpen, man. They come through. They have been huge for this team. And I think it's going to be too much for this Rangers team who's, Bruce Bochy's been there. He's a great manager. He's won World Series with San Francisco. Him versus Dusty Baker is a pretty cool matchup. Two pretty well-respected managers in their own right in this series. But Astros are going to win this in 7. They're going back to the World Series. And because they had this late season surge, I think, while Texas has been great in the postseason, Astros got it.
Have we not mentioned is Max Scherzer going this series?
Is he going to go?
I think he is. I just noticed this. I did not. I missed this. That's interesting. I don't know. That's interesting. I'd probably still go Astros, maybe in 7. But I'm just looking at Fangraphs, the slate right now for those games. This is just according to Fangraphs.
Even if he came back, I don't think it's enough. He hasn't pitched in months.
Agreed.
He hasn't pitched in months.
Right. Yeah.
Against this Astros lineup? Are you kidding me? I don't think.
It's 17 hours ago from Jeff Wilson, TXR. That's his Twitter. Okay. Scherzer threw around 60 pitches Wednesday and looked good, Bruce Bochy said. If Scherzer is on the roster, it would be as a starting pitcher. Duh.
Wow. So they'd, I mean, listen, he
it definitely would be helpful. But
it would be helpful. I don't see this team winning, man. I just don't see you beating the Astros. How do you beat the Astros? Seriously.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
They've been great. I mean, the bullpen's been even better. So
the
Rangers bullpen's been okay in the postseason. I mean, they've been good.
They've been good,
but for the most part. But they're not the Astros, man. They have too much depth there. Too much depth there.
And the experience, not that factor.
Yes.
It does factor.
Exactly, it's a factor.
Yeah. All right. NLCS. We're gonna go back to the Philadelphia Phillies here. Yeah, I think we're in agreement on a lot of stuff today, bro. I like agreeing though, because agreeing that didn't all of our picks do pretty well last time we agreed. Right?
I think so. They did pretty well.
Yeah. We work together. We're a team. That's what we do. I think we're just gonna we'll see though. Let's get to this here. All right. Give me your take first. How do you feel about this series starting on Monday between the Arizona Diamondbacks, who no one thought would be here? I thought they might miss the playoffs like 3 weeks ago, but they didn't. They sneak in, just like the Phillies did last year in the NLCS. Game 1 at CBP on Monday. Nick, what are the thoughts on this series?
As you saw at the beginning of the segment, they came back on. They came back on.
Thank God.
This is going to be a good series. Arizona's played well. Listen, they snuck in. Great season. Just destroyed all expectations, right? Corbin Carroll, your guy, your rookie of the year, has been awesome. He's been awesome, man.
He's not my guy. Just that you put with Ellie, and I had to put you in your place.
He's a
Go
star,
ahead,
man. He's a star. Listen, they're both stars. They're both going to be stars going into the next couple of years. But I digress. Corbin Carroll's been awesome, man. And listen, this offense has been really clicking on all cylinders. It took down the Milwaukee's pretty good pitching, who pitched really well in the second half. They took down Clayton Kershaw, Lance Linton. Like, they took down the Dodgers, who just seem to choke every year anyway. But that's still a really good team over there. And they've pitched well too. I mean, what did Mookie and Freddie Freeman go? I saw a stat where they
1 for 21
one base hit, and it was an infield single. That's
1 for 21, bro.
Got credit to the Diamondbacks. They have been amazing. It ends here. It's the magical run, the fun in Arizona with the jumping in the pool.
Right. Pool parties. I get it. Pool parties are fun.
We're going to be having parties in Philadelphia again. We know how to party. I think the Phillies know how to party a little bit better than the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh, man, look, he's getting fired up.
I've been saying this all year. The Phillies are going back to the World Series. Book it, stamp it. They're going back 6 games. They don't screw that. 5 games. The Phillies are going back to the World Series. We're getting a rematch. We're getting a rematch between the Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. Listen, the Phillies, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they're a young team, young roster, a lot of really good young players. That's all fine and dandy, okay? They have Zach Gallen, they have Merrill Kelly, 2 pretty good starters to go up against Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola in games 1 and 2. I don't think they're ready for what they're gonna experience in Citizens Bank Park, man, in games 1 and 2. I just don't see it. I think the Phillies are on a magical run once again. They have the experience from what they did last year, getting to the World Series. Castellanos is hot. The offense is hot. Wheeler's pitching well. Nola's pitching well. Rangers pitching well. The bullpen's pitching well. They're getting it from all sides and angles. It's been fantastic. And they're going back, man. I like the Phillies bullpen much better than I do Arizona's. Their depth's going to be tested in this series because this is now a 7-game series. It's not a 5-game series. They have top of the line guys in that bullpen. They have some pieces, but once you start getting into games 4, 5, 6, who knows? Who knows what could happen because they're going to have to really use some of those arms that really haven't been used yet here in the playoffs. So I think the Phillies are just overmatching, overbearing team for the Diamondbacks. The Phillies are going back. I just think they're too strong. They're on fire, and I just don't see anyone beating them, especially since they just beat a 100-win team in the Braves, who were the best team in baseball. One of the best offenses compared to the 27 Yankees, mind you, many times, with the MVP on their roster. And they just took their heart out at Citizens Bank Park. What are they going to do to a team like Arizona? They're going to sweep them first 2 games. Series end in 5. Phils go back to the World Series, and they're going to play the Astros.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be a good series. It's going to be a one-sided affair. The Phillies are better in every single facet. The only way the D-backs really have any sort of a chance is like they need Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen to have like career games to go, like, maybe like the super lengthy starts where they're going like 8 innings. Maybe they need Gallen to like throw a no-hitter or something like that. I'm not trying to
listen, he went to Bishop Eustis, right in South Jersey. Jersey kid, man. Grew up a Phillies fan. So
yeah, I know. I just, the Phillies are just they have home field advantage. They didn't even have home field advantage last year, and they won in 5. And the Padres are a better team. Were a better team last year than the Diamondbacks are this year. It's cute. I think it was more about the Dodgers just choking, like they do a good amount in the playoffs. More often than not. So I think it's more about the Dodgers weren't chokers. I give credit to Arizona. Okay. Like, they did their job. I'll tell them that they did their job. they took advantage of Kershaw and how he was, his postseason numbers too. That set the tone. D-backs. And they have a solid offense. I like Marte. We mentioned this before. I like Marte. I like Corbin. I like Christian Walker. But they need these guys to have like monster games, almost every game, for them to win. The Phillies are just better in every single facet. I even like Wheeler and Nola right now over Kelly and Gallen as their two-headed monster. I even like them. So, and if they're not having that, they need that advantage there. Like I said, they need Kelly and Gallen to have huge games. So starting pitching, Phil's edge. Offense, easy. Bullpen, it's not going to be a good series, dude. They need Brandon Fat Pockets or whatever his name is to have a big game. He's been good. I can Brandon Fat, but he went 4 innings last game. So
I know.
It's not. I'll be real, man. It's not gonna be pretty. It's not. I want to be respectful. I don't want to say
I know
Phillies sweep. I'll say this. Maybe one of those Kelly or Gallen starts. Maybe they shove for 7 innings or something, and that's a big deal. And maybe they'll win a game 3-2 or something like that. But it's Phillies in 5, dude, and the Phillies are just better in every facet.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, man. They were 4-3, so the season series was 4-3 Phillies, right? And it was close during the season. I feel like the Phillies always kind of had trouble with the Diamondbacks, but it's the postseason, a different animal, man. So it's not going to be close to me.
Yeah, it's not going to be close. There's not much we have to say here, dude. Not much we have to say. I kind of wish it was the Dodgers just for, the 08, 09 throwbacks
nostalgia,
like that.
A little nostalgia you want.
Yeah. We kicked the Dodgers ass too. I'm not even gonna front. We kicked the Dodgers, but yeah.
1-5 too.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Give me your MVP picks for each of these rounds. Let's start with the American League. Who do you like?
Okay.
Nick Earnshaw.
For me,
Ozzie Earnshaw, sorry.
So for me, I gotta go in the AL. Start with the AL. I think he continues it, man. This is easy pick for me, but Yordan Alvarez, man. I think he keeps it going. I don't know how you can't pick him right now. Guys just hitting moonshots. Guys on fire. I think it continues. He when he gets into the postseason, he just seems to come up with a big hit for the Astros all the time, a big home run. Yordan Alvarez. Hate to do it, but he's probably going to be the MVP of the NLCS for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Astros. We kind of have to stick with the same teams because we picked them to win. It'd be a little weird. I'm gonna go. Yordan definitely a good pick. It was a layup. I'm gonna go Justin Verlander.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Verlander will get 2 starts. He's probably gonna start. I think he's slated to start game 1. He started slated. I wish it was Scherzer and Verlander going.
That would be. How about that awesome story?
I would love that theater. I would love that theater. But it doesn't look like, according to FanGraphs, at least, it's Verlander, Evaldi, then Valdez, and Scherzer in game 2.
Could it be Montgomery in game 1?
I'm just telling you what FanGraphs is saying. Okay. Montgomery is slated to go game 3 against Christian Javier. That's actually a good matchup. I like that a lot.
Okay.
I like these matchups. All right. I'm going to go Verlander, though. I'd say Verlander shoves game 1, I guess he would go game 5. And I think he's going to have really great starts. He has good postseason numbers. But the thing with Verlander has been his World Series numbers. That's the crap he gets. But if you look at his ALCS numbers overall, they're pretty good. So I'm going to go Justin Verlander as my ALCS MVP. You're going to go Yordan Alvarez. NLCS, I'll start here. I'm going to go with somebody that we talked about off air. You're actually wearing his jersey right now. The guy had a monster NLCS last year. I think it gets a little overshadowed, obviously, because Bryce Harper, NLCS MVP, last 2023. And understandably so. But if you look at Kyle Schwarber's numbers last year, I think he had a 1,500 OPS in the NLCS last year against the Padres. I'm going to go Kyle Schwarber. He's due. Kind of an easy pick just because he's been crap for the Phils, but they haven't needed him to be anything good anyway. I'm going to go Kyle Schwarber. I'm going to say he's going to hit 3 or 4 home runs in the series. Maybe, that many. Yeah. I'll say one of these games he's going to hit 2. And then I'll have a couple more too. So I'm going to go Kyle Schwarber.
I like that pick a lot. He struggled. He's been struggling at the plate. leading off. No home runs in the postseason yet, which is a little shocking. So I'm with you. I think he's due for sure. I think it's a really good pick. For me, I'm going with someone who has kind of struggled a little bit. He's been back and forth between the 3 and 4 hole. He's flipped with Bryce Harper a couple of times in this NLDS that just happened with the Braves. I'm going Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm's due, man. Alec Bohm's really due to have a big series, right? So, I mean, he had the RBI, in game 2, I believe. I feel like he's had some tough at-bats, grounded in double plays, chasing pitches out of the zone, especially like sliders or curveballs that start away and end away, and he's chasing them. I think he finds himself a little bit again in this series against Arizona. It feels like everyone's had their moment, right? Like, I mean, Stotts had their moment. Trey Turner's hit the home run. Harper, Castellanos, like all these guys, like they're having their moments. Alec Bohm's due for a big moment, right? In this playoff. So for me, I think Alec Bohm's going to be that guy to come up with some big hits in this series. I think he's going to get back to a little bit of a consistent approach at the plate. And, I just want to see him be a little more patient at the dish. And I think if he does that, not chase pitches out of the zone, I think he'll be okay. And I think he's going to come up big for the Phils in this series. It's only going to go 5 games. So you only have 5 games to work with here. Bohm's going to be that guy. He's got to have, I think he has 2 home runs and a couple of really big base hits and a decent amount of RBIs. I'll say like 6 RBIs, 7 RBIs in this series. Yeah. Especially where he's at in the lineup, I think, he's due to drive in some big runs. So I'm going Alec Bohm.
Like that pick. Like it a lot. I like both our picks, honestly.
I do too.
Yeah, good.
Look, we're on the same page today.
Oh my God, we're be
on the same page? Look at us. Look at us.
Look at that. Never happens. Cherish it again. Once again, it might never happen again. So cherish it. All right, let's close out the show, Nick. Let's talk about give me your favorite championship series moment of your lifetime, not like freaking something that happened in 1975 with Steve Garvey or whatever his name was in the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about something that you were alive to at least witness. What would you say?
I'm gonna be a homer. I have to be. I was at like Matt Stairs. That home run was great in 08. Awesome. Dude, I was in the building for that Bryce Harper home run. I mean, it's too easy. The Harper home run to send the Phils to the World Series in the 8th inning. We'll never, ever, ever forget being there, man. It's crazy. I was there at the game with my brother, and he's standing next to me. Before the inning even started, I kid you not. My brother's like, he's a baseball fan, but he's more of a football guy, more of a bigger football fan than baseball fan. He likes baseball. He wanted to go, like, he likes baseball. Not a gigantic baseball fan, but a baseball fan. He turns to me and he goes, this is what's going to happen. JT Realmuto is going to single. Harper's going to get into a little bit of a deep count, and he's going to hit a home run, and they're going to go to the World Series. I kid you not. On everything, he turned to me and said that, and that's exactly what happened. He said Realmuto was going to single and Harper was going to hit home run. It was crazy to me. I think I have a video of like me yelling, "You called it! You called it!" It was, dude, just being there. It was the coolest baseball moment of my life. I actually cried. I did cry, and I will admit I did cry.
Okay, so you're good. No, I'm happy you cried. You know why? Because you give me crap all the time for crying. Because I get emotional.
Yeah, I cried.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy you cried.
Game 5. It's a homer pick. It's an easy pick, but it's because I was there, and it just the moment. It was just awesome, man. I had to go there.
That's sick. No, I love the pick. That's something that you experience, and you'll probably, like you said, you're gonna remember that for the rest of your life. That's it's amazing. I'm jealous. I watched it on TV at the bar with my buddy. We were going wild. So, nice. But that's pretty cool that you were able to experience that.
It was a wild day because it was raining all day. It was like raining. They had to get all the extra dirt out. Oh my God, just everything that went into that game. Was crazy.
This time last year, baby. This time last year. Hopefully we'll get another one. Hopefully we'll get another one. All right, I'm gonna give you mine. I'm gonna go about 19 years earlier.
Wow.
Okay. We're gonna go. You know what I'm talking about, but we're gonna go set the scene. 8th inning, 2003 NLCS. Marlins Cubs at Wrigley. Luis Castillo hits a foul ball. I forget what the score was. I think the Marlins were down because I'll explain what happens in a second. Luis Castillo hits a foul ball down the left field line. Moises Alou goes up. The ball's going into the stands. But no, Moises Alou is not able to get the ball because there are multiple people. I want to say there's multiple people going for the ball in the stands. But one person singled out one Steve Bartman for getting, Moises Alou visibly upset, pissed off, like slams his glove on the ground. Yep. The Marlins would proceed to score, I think, 8 runs in that inning, and then go to Game 7 and beat the Cubs in the NLCS, and then go on to beat the Yankees in the World Series that year. And I was like, 9 years old at this time. I don't know if I remember watching this game, but I remember at least watching the highlights next day on SportsCenter and all that.
Yeah.
One of the all-time moments in baseball history, Nick. And I will say this, saw a documentary on a few years back. I do feel bad for the guy. His life was like pretty much ruined after that, and I think that's pretty horrible. There is like that dark side to it, and everything like that. So the guy's life was literally ruined after that. But at the same time, like, not gonna lie, like, it's one of the all-time sports moments, to be honest. Steve Bartman's 8th inning, trying to attempt to catch over Moises Alou in Game 6 of the NLCS. But I feel like they've like had stuff. I think Bartman's I don't know if he changed his name. It's crazy. I don't want to get too much into that. But yeah, man, that's mine.
It's wild. I mean, we know about the curse that was lifted in 2016 with the Cubs, and they thought maybe that was the year that all was going to end. They had to wait a little bit longer, but yeah, that's an all-time sports moment, man. That's an all-time sports moment, no doubt, especially in the championship series. Like, the whole story is just nuts. And I watched the documentary as well. It's crazy what happened to Steve Bartman. So feel bad for the guy for sure.
Yeah,
but
awful.
Like just the turn that it took, it's unbelievable. But yeah, that's extremely memorable. Extremely memorable. I was a little young, obviously.
Let's say, were you even born yet?
What year was that? It was
03.
03. I was 3. So it was
right.
I was young. I was
a baby.
Yeah, still a baby at that point.
Word.
So, but yeah, that's an all timer, man. Especially in baseball history, especially in Cubs history. So yeah, it's a good one.
Right, and Cubs fans feel a little better about it now.
I think so. I think they're okay. They got their ring in 16, so I think it's okay.
And one more thing I'll mention too is, like, I read in the comments, like, there were other people going for the ball in that section. Like, Bartman wasn't the only one. Yeah. So Bartman, unfortunately, is singled out, stuff like that. But that's unfortunately how it goes. All right, Nick, that's going to do it for the show today. Phil's in 5, Astros in 6, unfortunately.
7.
We're going to get a rematch of the World Series. I'm pretty confident in that pick, but we'll see. Maybe the Rangers are a good team. Maybe they'll pull it out. But for Francisco Rojas, Ozzy, Hollywood, Earnshaw, that's going to do it for us. And we're going to talk to you guys very soon. So catch you guys next time.